Is the former director of the State Department Office of Security and Human Rights and joins us from Washington, D.C. Charles, thanks for your time. Do you think Donald Trump would be saying he's prepared to travel to the Middle East if a deal wasn't close?
Well, that's difficult to say. A lot of this seems very improvisational and very, very ad hoc. Let's remember the August summit that President Trump had with Vladimir Putin. That was the subject of a lot of publicity and of a lot of fanfare, and in the end, nothing came of it. And one of the things that could happen is that there would be a preliminary agreement, let's say on the exchange of hostages, and that President Trump would be present for that. That his pattern is that he likes very much to say that he has settled things, to take credit for agreements, and he could present this in that way. But let's remember that the exchange of hostages. First of all, I wonder if all the modalities of that have been worked out yet. And second, even if they do, there are, as several of your commentators have pointed out, there are still many details to be worked out. And one of the problems is, even if the exchange of hostages takes place, as a couple of your commentators have pointed out, that's the main thing that Israel wants. And it may well be that there's very little incentive for Prime Minister Netanyahu to follow through with the rest of the agreement once the hostages are back. And then the question is, well, what will the United States do about that? One of your commentators already pointed out that Hamas accepted the deal, and the Israeli attacks in Gaza have continued. Dozens, if not hundreds, of Palestinians have died since then. President Trump asked Prime Minister Netanyahu to stop the attacks. He hasn't. And let's remember that there was a prior ceasefire. There was a ceasefire in January in which Trump administration, it was U.S. brokered, Trump administration officials participated in it. That took place January 19th. Israel then broke the ceasefire in March, and President Trump did not do anything about that. So the absence of anything in the 20 points about what the parties will do, especially what the United States will do if Israel fails to implement the agreement, that absence is very, very worrisome. And then finally, one of the problems is that this agreement has taken place really without any Palestinian participation. And if you look at the arrangements for this temporary transitional council, it doesn't include any Palestinian leadership. If you look at the plans for subsequent economic development, it's called the Trump Economic Development Plan. And this continues what has been a pattern for decades in trying to resolve this conflict, which was a failure to include Palestinian leadership and Palestinian input.
But Trump talks positively and has done for the last few days about this in an effort to add personal momentum to these talks. He's offering to go to the Middle East. Presumably, he'll be there to add some layer of leverage on Israel to try to drop some of their red lines. Similarly, Qatari Prime Minister is there, Turkish Chief of Intelligence is gone, and we understand they are going to try and lean on Hamas to try to stand back on some of their red lines. Are these key negotiators, the high-level participants, does that suggest that we may be getting closer to something, just a starting point, with all the details to come afterwards?
Well, I hope this works. I hope this works. President Trump has great faith in his own ability to fashion agreements, but it has not been the history that President Trump is very interested in details, and it hasn't been the history that he follows up on details. And remember, signing some sort of an agreement, and it'll probably be, I think it would probably be with regard to hostages, is only the start of the process. And this will take a long, long time. The question is President Trump willing to follow this? And is he willing to put pressure on Israel? Real pressure. That hasn't been the history. The United States, both under President Biden and President Trump, has failed to impose any concrete consequences on Israel. For example, restrictions on arms sales. And for example, restrictions on military assistance. Those would be effective. Those have never been used. And as far as I know, President Trump has never even talked to Prime Minister Netanyahu about those measures. So again, I hope it works, but there are very good reasons to be skeptical in the long term.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Charles, thank you very much indeed for your input. Pleasure to have you on TRT World. Thank you.